Welcome to the Pre Nup, the wedding-obsessed podcast designed to help you plan your dream day. I'm your host, Adriana, and each week I'm joined by the industry's top professionals, celebs, influencers, and friends who are sharing their best tips, advice, and mistakes they've made so you don't have to. The Pre Nup is a Love Stories TV podcast. Today's guest is a creative machine when it comes to weddings, but she's also proof that life beyond the wedding, the marriage, is also pretty great. She is a content creator, bridal stylist, and of course, co-host on the Honey We're Home podcast. Caroline Crawford Patterson, welcome to the Pre Nup podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. I love following your content. You are so, just all of your lifestyle stuff. It's so fun to watch. But what really got you started, I want to start from the top. Yeah, let's go with the little bridesmaid box that started it all.
Okay, let's do it.
That is really what popped you off on TikTok initially. And I feel like everyone knows you for so many different things now. Like so much so that I kind of forget about that. But talk about the bridesmaids boxes and like what was in your bridesmaids boxes? Because you're so known for your wedding.
I think it's funny now because people have gotten so like extraordinary with their gifts to their bridesmaids.
Yes.
Like it's almost in excess. When I think about mine, I'm like, wow, it was like kind of simple. But at the time I thought that it was great. And I would still do it again. It was the Boy Smells Like Pride collection. So I had like all different colored candles and I had like a bouquet of flowers for each girl. And then I had for my maids of honor, which were like my sisters, huge sets of like the Lauderay boxes, which funny enough, like at the time I was like, this is so great. They're going to love it. Like we're all obsessed with France anyways. And it's like a nice little like tree and it's very romantic and cute looking. And I think the main thing was like I wrote everybody a very long letter on like very pretty paper.
Yes.
And I just sort of like matched the candle color or like scent to like my friends' like homes and personalities and then matched the flowers. So they just got like a candle, flowers, and a really like long pretty note.
Yes.
And I think the reason I would still do this again is because I've noticed like the notes framed.
Yeah.
I've noticed the candles have been burned and people use them for like makeup brushes or like pencil holders because they're like cute. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like they've been used. And it's a candle. My thing is like always buy someone something they won't buy themselves.
Yeah.
So I was like, I would rather buy my friends like a candle that's honestly to me is like expensive. So I'm not going to like buy it myself.
Of course.
And then I would keep it to like the one gift. And then, you know, flowers. And I think it was just like a nice romantic gesture.
Yes.
Versus clutter, which was like my main thing. I was like, it should be about the ask and it should be something creative and cute and match their personality. Something they wouldn't get themselves, but it shouldn't be cluttered.
Yes.
And then like with a lot of my friends, I waited to ask them in person. So like I could take them out to drinks or you know, like whatever it is.
And that's special. That's what sticks with you. The personalization, first of all, like what is better than a handwritten letter, something so sweet and catered specifically to you. I really love also the romanticism of it all because we don't focus on romanticizing our friendships in a good way.
Right.
We totally should. Like
I think we should romanticize our friendships. It's something that I've actually like taken into life like from that point on is romanticizing my friendships and trying to, if there's something that I'm like, I would like to do this with John and I think that this would be very cute and special or whatever.
Yes.
Like I will try to do stuff like that with my friends, like during the day. I just want to have good core memories with them. I also think that sometimes the effort gets lost in translation.
Mm-hmm.
You could go above and beyond or honestly just pay somebody a bunch of money to like do a bridesmaid box for you.
Sure.
And it's not going to translate the same way as something that was done intentionally, like with romance.
Yes.
Just because it's the delivery is everything. Like the intention behind it is everything. Like giving somebody something cute is only half the battle.
Yes.
Like that's precious. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love that.
Of course. We love it to be cute, but taking it to that next level, that's why I think you popped off so much, and you bring that into every aspect of your life, really. And I think that's why people love to follow along with you and are really inspired by a lot of the things that you do.
That's so kind of you to say. That's actually so kind. Thank you.
It's the truth.
I also recently learned that Cece New York, who is a wedding invitation designer, she's like done a collaboration with Lauderay for boxes, like macaroon boxes that are like catered towards weddings for gifts. And I went to this launch event and I was like, this is incredible, because that's exactly like what it was about the whole situation that I was like, these are so cute, these are so romantic, is people are starting to like design little collections that are specified toward this. Like this is a guest gift or a departing gift. It's a special box that people will reuse or whatever it is.
They need to do another collab, but with you. So like Lauderay by CC by Caroline.
Yeah. Let's put it out there.
Let's put it out there. Yes. So bridesmaids boxes, they're such a thing, because when we're getting married, we always want to spoil the people in our lives. So like, of course, our bridesmaids, parents, you know, we're always thinking about, oh, what can we gift people?
Right.
But at the end of the day, it is our wedding. So I wanted to ask you, was there any gifts that you received for your wedding that really stuck with you, that made a mark?
Yeah. One of my bridesmaids actually painted our chapel. And she was in med school. Her name is Allie. She's so sweet. She was in med school. And so she lived in Charleston at the time. So she would go sit in front of the chapel, like I think she said on a few different occasions. And she sat in front of it and did a watercolor of it and had it framed and gave it to us. And while not everybody's a painter, that is something that I look at that photo every single day. And to me, it's so much more tasteful than having like huge photos of us from our wedding blown up on the wall.
Yes.
I've said this before. People laughed at me, but I'll say it again. If my mom wants to get an oil painting of me done in my dress, I'm not saying no. I'll take it. You put it right above the fireplace.
For sure.
But I love the idea of like, if you have a beautiful venue or you have beautiful gardens or a beautiful view at your venue, anything in like a watercolor or a painting, gifted, framed, people will put that in their home.
Absolutely.
And it is such a romantic reminder to me. And I have known people since that have gotten other people gifts. Maybe they haven't painted it themselves, but they've had something painted for them.
Yes.
And 10 out of 10 times, it's a home run as a gift. Yeah.
It's such a great gift. Shout out to Allie for being just the overachiever.
Truly.
Holy hell. I mean, I don't do a fraction of what she does. And I'm like, I can't.
It had to be the best thing ever.
That is so sweet. And it means so much, especially knowing like she was busy and she really wanted to do something special for you guys. So I want to, on that note of the chapel, the Charleston of it all, I want to go into your wedding.
Yeah.
And like everything about it was just so fabulous that you were 2021?
2021.
Okay. So 3 years later, like people still kind of look to your wedding for inspiration.
That's such an honor.
It's true. But I want to start with, of course, the venue, which is so iconic.
Yeah.
You got married at the Notebook House.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about that. How did that come about? How did you land that?
So the first thing to know is that there are actually two Notebook houses.
Okay.
So there's the destroyed, abandoned, burned down house.
Okay.
And then there is the aftermath of the house.
So they're two separate. I mean, I wouldn't imagine that they did
So I actually got married at the one that was the burned down, abandoned one.
Okay.
So no one would ever think that you could get married there. Obviously, like it was destroyed in a fire.
Yes.
I guess the city of North Charleston at some point decided to renovate it. And so that's the house that they used where they would drive out and they would look at the abandoned house. It's like where they like made love in front of the fireplace, which like is such a fun fact. And I tell them at like Riverfront Park, that's the park that owns the venue. I'm like, you have to tell your brides this because like I cut my cakes where like Allie and Noah like made like where that scene was filmed. I'm like, you have to tell people that.
Oh my gosh, it's such a sell.
You're forgetting to tell people that. It's on a Navy base, an old naval base. So the home that I got married out itself has always been owned by the state into the 1800s. And it was the admiral's house for the Navy. I actually went to high school on that naval base and I didn't know it was there.
Stop. So you're from Charleston?
I'm from Charleston.
Okay.
I went to high school on that base and my parents aren't in the Navy. Like that base has been inactive for decades. We just got put there. Like, don't ask me why. I didn't know that house was back there. Yeah. Later in college, I worked on the Navy base in a different location, and I still didn't know it was there. And so I was on a preliminary phone call, and I kept saying, and just being transparent, I kept saying, I'm having a really hard time. I'm from Charleston. I really want to get married there.
Yeah. I
really want a large wedding, and I really would prefer if it's not on a plantation.
Yeah, that would be nice.
You know, I'm like, every venue that wasn't
honestly hard to come by in Charleston.
It was so frustratingly difficult.
Yeah.
I went through so many conversations with so many planners, and I'm just being honest, and I'm sure hopefully it's different now.
Sure.
The amount that they didn't know was so frustrating.
Yeah.
I got recommended to places time after time where they were like, this is not a plantation or a former plantation, and it literally was.
Oh,
so I was getting to the point where I was like, I'm not sure if I even trust what you guys are telling me.
At this point, did you already have a planner locked in?
No.
Okay.
So this was pre actually engagement. Like we were planning the wedding, but it was during COVID had just hit. So we were like not formally engaged yet, but like,
can I tell you how much I love to hear you say that?
Yeah.
So we talk about the topic of being pre-engaged all the time here.
Yeah.
And David and I were just having a healthy argument this morning. I would never fight with my king, David. But we had a submission from someone who was not yet engaged.
Yeah.
And she wanted to book a venue. And David said, probably not the best idea. And I was like, well, if you know you're going to do it, go for it, because these things book up. I'm so glad to hear you say it.
Yeah.
We didn't know the circumstances of their, how long they've been together, things like that. So I'm sure you and John had talked about getting engaged, things like that.
Oh, yes. But it's really like, you should have your listeners be like, just give me a note on where you're from, because the city that they're from will kind of let you know if it's A, normal, or B, necessary. Like the tea is that like people in Charleston do this all the time, and I can't tell you the number of girls that like avoid this conversation like the plague because they don't want to admit that they also did it.
Sure.
And I'm like, there's no shame in the game.
Oh my God, no shame. We love the pre-engaged.
Because you don't want to get married in August. Like, if you're getting married somewhere coastal and southern, you want it to be, you have a very few short months of the year that you really would love to get married there.
Totally.
Everybody wants the same dates. Everybody's going there even for destination weddings. And then when you're in a situation where you're trying to be cognizant of the fact of like the history of the South.
Of course.
There's a certain line of like, there are people out there that are like proud of that history, and you really do not want to mix business with them. So like that's a thing, and I've talked to people from the north who are like, no way, and I'm like, yeah, no, there are people that are like, they're like flaunting it to you. So it's like like there are a lot of places that are off limits.
That's so interesting. It's so funny how different people can be.
No, extremely. And I will say I got hate on this for TikTok one time. They equated the notebook house to this other the secondary notebook house. I don't fully know the history behind it, but I think it's not good.
Okay.
And I was trying to clarify, like, that is not the house. Like, it's a different house. It's been owned by the state, whatever. And people were going into the history of it. And I'm like, listen, all I know is like what I know.
Yeah.
Which is when I got a call from a planner and they were like, you could go look at something on the Navy base. I was like, this feels safe.
Yes.
And then when I had a conversation with the like overseer, she accidentally said to me, oh, were you looking at the Admiral's house? And I said, I don't know what that is. And she says it's an abandoned building, but it's just started reconstruction.
So it hadn't even been finished yet by the time you booked.
No. So I know my way around the Navy base. So my mom and I go out there with my dad and with John, and everything's roped off, and I just climbed my ass in the building. I mean, I was like, how am I going to get married here if I can't?
We love our construction queen.
My dad is in construction. I'm like, whatever. Yeah. My mom and I are like, hop right on in there. Take a little look around. Obsessed. If someone comes glaring at you with a flashlight, run for it.
Oops. Yeah.
Don't fall through the crack on the floor, but you saw it. You loved it. You were like, this is it. there's a chapel on site. So the chapel, the Eternal Father of the Sea Chapel, is the Old Navy chapel, which I also think got burned down at one point.
Okay.
It was on a different part of the base. And whoever made this fantastic decision about like 50, 60 years ago to move the chapel to the different part of the base where you could actually walk to this admiral's house and walk to these commandant's quarters where everything is just so lush and beautiful and on the water.
Yes.
Best decision they ever made.
Oh my gosh.
So we knew we wanted to get married. We were hoping to get married in a church or a chapel, but we also knew who we wanted to marry us. And in Charleston, I'm sure like a lot of other places, you have to get married with that church's pastor.
Right.
And I had some dicey history with my church. We were like no longer members there.
You're excommunicated.
Yeah. Or we excommunicated ourselves. Or, yeah.
I love
So
it.
we kind of were like, so what do we do? You know, and then we found a chapel, and in a chapel, you can have whoever marry you that you want to.
Wonderful.
Because it's a chapel. It's like for the public. It's for the community.
Sure.
And so that was a selling point for us. It was like something where we were able to do a beautiful location. We were able to get married in a chapel. We were able to have a recession from the ceremony to the reception, similar to what people do in New Orleans or like downtown Charleston.
Love it.
We just weren't downtown.
Oh my gosh. It really is. It's something that so many brides, I'm sure, like don't even know that it's an option and would die for.
Right.
And like you said, Charleston is somewhat of a destination, even though you're from there.
Right.
Where's John from?
John is from Chicago and Atlanta.
Okay. So for a lot of your guests, it kind of was a destination wedding.
It was,
of sorts.
yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of planning that went into it. I would say consider that. That's something my mom always said. She was like, you need to always know the percentage of people that are coming from out of town, and that should determine how many nights of events that you have or what you're offering to them as like things to do or accommodations or whatever it is. So it was a destination wedding for, I think, a lot of our friends and family.
Sure. So I want to talk to you about just exactly what your mom brought up, because when you are having a destination wedding, whether it's domestic or international, like if most guests are traveling from another place and they're staying night after night, you do kind of have a responsibility to set them up with some activities. Yeah. So talk to me about your wedding weekend, because I love your mind. I love your creativity. And I feel like you and your guests just had a friggin' ball your entire wedding weekend. So tell us about that.
Well, some of it I have to give credit to the fact that no one had like been outside in a year. So we were all just excited.
The time we don't speak of.
Right. We were all just like excited to like be around other humans.
Yes.
So there was a lot of good energy that I honestly couldn't even create myself. But I do think that there's like a perfect level number of events. So I'm a huge fan of the Thursday night party if you have a Saturday wedding. Mm-hmm. I will continue to do this over and over again. Like my sisters don't have options on this. And it's not my rule. Like it's my mom's rule.
Yes. Are you oldest sister?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the thing is that the more opportunity that your guests have to meet each other, the less they'll bother the couple, the more fun they'll have throughout the weekend.
Sure.
And the more opportunities that your family and specifically extended family members have to talk to you, the couple, prior to the wedding, the less people that you feel obliged to talk to the night of the wedding.
Totally. Totally.
And so what you really want to do is create as many opportunities throughout the engagement process for people to be together.
Yes.
Not pressure for people to come to you over and over again. Just create opportunities.
Yeah.
And so that is sort of what Thursday night was for us. We also knew we had a lot of people coming in from out of town, which meant that they were coming for 3+ nights regardless. Mm-hmm. People were staying at beach houses, whatever it was. And there was a thing that we thought about, which was like our bridesmaids' significant others and like groomsmen's significant others, they didn't necessarily know everybody because they weren't on the bachelor bachelorette trips. And so like the more opportunity for people that are like the significant other of somebody in the wedding who is significantly less busy throughout the wedding weekend, you want a buddy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you want a little community to have a good time, and your partner really wants you to have that so they are not stressed about you having a good time throughout the weekend as well.
Yes.
And so that was a really good opportunity for people to just kick it off. The other thing is that the Thursday night party is a more intimate group of people. Mm-hmm. It's the one time for the couple getting married that they're not locked into like an itinerary for the evening necessarily.
Uh-huh.
They're just with their closest friends and family.
Yes.
And if you're having a tiny micro wedding, then you get this all weekend long. But for a lot of us, we're having large weddings.
Yeah.
And so when you go do something on Thursday night and it can turn into a night at 3 a.m. at the bars with your high school best friends, or it could turn into a sleepover with everybody,
which, iconic.
You know what I mean? Like it could be whatever you want it to be. That's a night where you just really get to be with your safest people and have really fun celebration. It's a lot easier to take 25 people around than 250.
Oh my gosh, yes. And do you believe in having that buffer day in between for just relaxing?
Yeah.
So Thursday party, maybe take it into the wee hours of the morning.
Right.
Friday,
relax.
We get a little refreshed, maybe some eye patches.
There's like a balance. Like I think like maybe no activities on Friday. Give people options, but maybe not group activities like on Friday or whatever. Like I did a beach day, and even in retrospect, like I wouldn't have been so harsh about like making sure everybody was at the beach day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the time I was like, well, it's my wedding weekend. I want everybody here.
Of course.
But then in retrospect, it's kind of like let people explore or whatever, especially if they're in their wedding, because they're not going to explore the town on Saturday. So like give them that time to just like hang out and be present, and maybe try not to leave either the hotel or the house that you've rented, so that people don't feel like they're like going everywhere all at once.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a really good tip for, something, because I mean, not that you would change anything of your wedding, but I'm sure you get this question online a lot. I know a lot of people will say, like, is there anything you would do different from your wedding? Do you have any regrets? Like, what are those for you?
My largest regret, and really the only one, is that I didn't have a videographer.
Okay.
I really did first of all, I didn't know that I was going to blow up on TikTok.
Yeah.
I was not aware. Yeah, I was not aware that was going to happen. Secondly, I just sort of like photos are enough. What I didn't think of, and nobody talks about this, it's not so that you can go back and watch your vows, because somebody will record it. Like I can do that. I have a video. It's not the best quality. And, and that would be great. I actually don't like going back and watching my vows. It like gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
And like
brings up like the nerves. Yeah.
Right. It brings up the nerves. I'd rather like just reread them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is maybe I'm like prioritizing the wrong thing here, but I put in like 2 years to making this beautiful wedding so that all of my guests would have this wonderful experience. And I'm hearing all of this chatter about how great it is, and I'm in a different room somewhere locked away.
Yeah.
Like I would have loved the video to have this like kind of final delivery of like, here's what you did, and here's how it came out. And here is like footage of everybody really enjoying it. Yeah. And how beautiful it was. And like you didn't get to see when like everyone came into the reception and they were having a great time, but like you can go back and watch it, where like you didn't get to see like I didn't get to see John walking down the aisle because I'm behind the church. Right. There are just certain things like his mom's prayer I would love to like go back and watch, but I was behind closed doors before I went in. Yeah. There are certain things that really kind of like attributed to the entire experience or the entire weekend that photos can't entirely capture. Sure. So I always say to people, bare minimum, have a camcorder set up in the back, steady, not a phone, literally like VHS level type of thing, and have it filmed.
It's some sort of videography. I feel like in whatever capacity. I feel like so many people, and I feel like at the time, because I got married in 2021 as well, I feel like wedding day content creators were like just starting. It wasn't really a thing. So I think if videography isn't an option, you don't want to go full cinematic, like even that's an option to hire a content creator. And if it's not within budget, maybe just for a portion of it, like beginning, you don't have to do the whole enchilada.
Or you could assign, like people love jobs. Like
love jobs.
I like being like the girl for something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like assign somebody to like, I gave my phone to one of my sisters and I said, your job is to take great videos and photos throughout the day so that I have something to look at for the next 6 weeks before the photos come back.
It's smart.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like even baseline, like budget can help you do things a lot easier and faster with less stress, but it's not difficult to work around it. Like have somebody like in your friend group or have just anybody, you know what I mean? Like you could say, I know that you're not like a bridesmaid, but like some people have larger friend groups where like not like maybe only their siblings or their cousins or bridesmaids or whatever.
Yes.
You could still have your other friends get ready with you.
Of course.
And be like, hey, wait, you take photos and videos or you do this. And like, I know that the pressure as a bride is sort of like, I don't want to inconvenience people. But always remember that as long as you're very kind about it and set out with good intentions, like people want to be involved.
People just want to be needed and wanted and feel like they
Yeah.
can help. And I'm sure you hear this all the time. People say to brides, what can I do to help? They mean that
They mean
in jest.
it,
Like
yeah.
they really do. And
If they
when
don't
you
mean
give
it, they won't ask, is what I've learned.
For
Do you know
sure.
how many brides have bridesmaids and friends that never ask?
Yeah.
If
Because
they're
they
asking, they
don't-
want to help. Like that's
Yes.
kind of a rule of thumb.
And when you give them a job, a specific job, like, okay, so I was a delegator. I was like, all right,
Yes.
if people are going to ask, I'm going to put them to work.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
I
it's-
think I delegated too close to
Yeah.
the sun. I remember asking my mother-in-law to do my bathroom baskets. And she was like, what the hell? Like, why am I putting earring backs in this? I'm like,
Yeah.
Because people
Because-
lose them. They
Right,
need
that's-
them. And
yeah.
she's like, that's excessive. Like, that's crazy.
Right.
But I know she was grateful to help and she was like,
Yeah.
wanted to be a part of it. It's important to give people jobs, especially people in the wedding party. And to your
Yeah.
point, the couples of bridal party, maybe like Lucy's boyfriend, who doesn't know anybody, is really skilled with a camera. Maybe he
Yes.
can shoot some stuff,
Yes.
gives them something to do.
I mean, some of the most people, like helpful people, were like the groomsmen's wives
yes.
or like in my party, like their boyfriends, like very helpful.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because especially in the rehearsal, like I remember during a rehearsal, I started like freaking out because I had acquired like all like wine and beer because the significant others had to be at the rehearsal with us because the dinner was also on site.
Sure.
So we all took one bus together. And I was so concerned about how they were going to be hot and bored. And I was like, we need snacks and drinks. And then the snacks and drinks weren't in the church. And I'm like, someone's got to go get the snacks and drinks, but it can't be anybody that's in the wedding
right.
because we're in the middle of a rehearsal. So who do you lean to? A significant other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do not underestimate them.
Put them in charge. Put them to work.
When I'm a significant other, all I want to do is help.
Yes.
Because I would rather help than like feel like I'm not helpful.
Right.
Like I would rather help than be like, oh, well, my husband is being the most helpful because he's in the wedding and I'm just like a lazy piece of shit not doing anything over here.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like I'm
And
begging for a job.
especially because you are so in the wedding world. I feel like when I'm a guest at weddings, I don't want to overstep. I don't want
Oh,
people
yeah.
to be like,
It's hard.
oh my God, she's like trying to take over this thing. So like I want people to tell me what they want me to do.
Yeah.
And I will gladly. Like
Yeah.
anything you need, I'm but a
Yeah.
slave for you.
Yes,
like
truly.
Brittany says,
Yes.
you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So speaking of regrets, so I'm gonna fill
Yeah.
you in on some of mine.
Yeah, let me hear.
Okay, so I had a pretty gnarly spray tan for my wedding.
Shut up.
It was less than desirable.
Shut
It's a long story, but enough time has passed where I can admit
You can laugh
that
about
was-
it?
Yeah, for sure. And I still felt beautiful. Like I
Yeah.
look back on the pictures and I'm like, I think I look pretty and it's fine. But you know,
Yeah.
toned down. Another thing that I would have changed, although it's not really in my power, the weather. So
Oh.
a November in Philadelphia is questionable. It's not always sunny, as they say. And then my third thing would be that I would hire a stylist because while I loved my dress,
Yeah.
there was just like a little something off about the way it was put together. And again, this is not like net would not change anything about my
Right.
wedding. But if we're nitpicking
Right.
here, like I think I could have done really well with a stylist just to
Yeah.
make sure I'm like my hair went a little bit better, and the accessories were a little
Yeah.
bit better. And this is your wheelhouse, girlfriend.
Yeah.
You are bridal stylist
Yeah.
extraordinaire. So what's going on with Le Lover?
So Les Lovers styling for wedding wardrobe. My bread and butter is like all of the other wedding events that aren't the day of. Even though I do that, I just don't like advertise it.
Okay.
And I love doing that.
Yes.
I get really, really involved, however. The thing with Les Lover is that, and we're in like a little bit of a transition phase where we're going to start offering packages that aren't a la carte, like pre-put together packages, especially for girls that are like, I need looks for this like themed bachelorette.
Mm-hmm.
Let's all just buy this like $40 package that's going to give us like 10 outfit ideas and we all,
Obsessed.
whatever, go shopping.
Yes.
Or for the bride or whatever it is, to just make it a little bit more like accessible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think working with a stylist for the rest of your wedding wardrobe can be really, really rewarding. It is an intensive process, like on both sides. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
It's not really like as cut and dry. And brides specifically like have a higher like expectation of like how much they need to be in love with something.
Sure do. Mm-hmm.
And they also want to try different things. And sometimes when you want to try something you've never tried before, it gets a little dicey.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird thing because with your wedding, you want to wear something that you feel comfortable in, a neckline that looks good on you, a silhouette that looks good on you. But you also kind of want to take a little bit of a risk.
You want to push the envelope.
Right.
Yeah. And you should push the envelope.
Yeah.
I think having a stylist is incredible. Hope Levine does this.
Yes.
She's fantastic at it.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that, and even if you don't have a stylist, choosing an advocate for yourself, like, I'm sorry to sound like so serious, but like,
no, it's
choosing a wedding dress advocate for yourself is a huge deal.
Yeah.
You should sit down and think about all of your friends and family members and parents and in-laws and whatever, and be like, who is the person that I would feel the safest shopping with on a normal day, who lets me shop the way that I shop?
Yes.
There's no pressure. There's no rush. I don't need to really talk to you.
Yes.
But you also kind of know what I like. Or if I put something out that I have 6 of that shirt already, but I'm a creature of comfort, you're going to tell me to put it back.
For sure.
Like someone who's honest with you.
Yes.
Someone who's confrontational. Even if you're confrontational yourself, when you go put on a wedding dress, especially for the first time, that's the first time you've ever seen yourself in a wedding dress. You don't really know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
You know it looks pretty. But when the questions start coming, would you like a sleeve that's different? What type of veil? You're at the mercy of the stylist to sort of give you your options.
Yes.
Even if you're an opinionated person.
And it's like a panic moment.
And they don't know you.
Yeah.
It is, you do get overwhelmed. It's not necessarily about like not knowing what you like.
Yeah.
It's just more about what are you supposed to do when you have to make a decision in one split moment and you're overwhelmed. And you also don't know if you know everything that you should know to be able to make your decision. And so having an advocate there with you to say, listen, I know that you don't like the way that this looks on the hanger. We're going to try this on anyways.
Absolutely.
Because I know that we can do X, Y, and Z with it.
Yes.
And I know that you want this. And even though when you say that you want this type of lace to them, they're putting you in this type of dress. They're doing that because most brides end up going with that type of dress.
Sure.
And so we're going to put you in this, which is maybe more like unsuspecting and you're not sure if it's what you like. But then when you put it on, like just someone that's immerses themselves in that world a little bit or can push back or can see it on your face when you're like, something's not right with the styling. Like you need someone to be the bad guy.
You need someone to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important that your vendors, whether it's your stylist or whoever it is, like they're comfortable being the bad guy. They're more comfortable being honest with you in a kind way. We don't want anyone belittling our brides. Come on now. But who is going to give them cold, hard truths.
Yeah.
Do you know Gabrielle Horwitz?
No.
She's a bridal stylist. She's here in New York, and she's awesome. But she told me that when you're going for your wedding dress and you're bringing people with you, first of all, like obviously keep it small. We have some rules here.
Yeah.
But give the people that are coming with you some adjectives on what you are looking for. So like you're trying to be sexy, elegant, and princess-like. Let's say those are our things.
Inform them.
So like grandma is coming and maybe it's really important to her that it's modest. So something that has a slit down to the belly button, she's going to be like, I don't like it. It doesn't look good on you. But if you tell grandma up front, I'm looking to be sexy.
Yeah, then grandma can get mentally prepared.
She can get mentally prepared, yeah. Or maybe don't bring grandma, but whoever it is, let them know what you're looking for because everyone's style is different. And maybe you do, like, I don't know if your sister's styles are similar, but I'm sure they wanted to come with you for your dress. And
I brought one. My mom took me wedding dress shopping for the first time. It was actually before I was engaged. I was like, I won't go.
Yeah.
She was like, it's COVID. these dresses are taking a year and a half to get made.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't come with me, you're not getting a dress at all.
Totally.
She's like, and that doesn't seem like something that you would be fond of.
Yes.
Like, that's not a reality that you would be going for.
Exactly.
So we go and I like found something. My youngest sister was with me. She was like young enough where like I guess she didn't really have an opinion.
Yeah.
She left halfway through because she got hangry. So she wasn't even there.
Oh my
So
God,
I'm
it's so
like, I
funny.
think I was like just with, in my head, I just was with my mom.
Yeah.
Like she literally went to go get a sandwich and a pickle and chips.
What makes you more hungry than shopping? Like,
Right.
I can't think of one thing.
I'm not quite sure she actually wanted to be there.
We love you, sis.
I
But
think now she's like, gets it more. She was like in high school at the time.
yeah.
And so there was another sister that she didn't even like my dress.
Stop.
Now she loves it.
Yeah.
But when she first saw it, she didn't like it.
She had a vision
Right.
for you.
But these are people that I go to for fashion stuff often.
yeah.
And I think that's when I first realized none of us know what we're really talking about.
Totally.
I don't know. You don't know. You don't know. None of us know. Like, this is a new world for us. Like, picking out a dress for your wedding is not the same thing as picking out a dress as a guest or for an event or something for school. Like, we're not talking the same cuts. We're not talking the same fabrics. Nothing is similar. Nothing is alike. We really just like don't know what we're talking about. So I have this like thing where I'm like, choose your advocate to go shopping with you.
Mm-hmm.
Only go with them the first time. Then go a second time.
Okay.
Even
With
if you
them or
already
without.
with them still or
Okay.
without, it doesn't matter. And then you maybe have like 2 final selections.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you bring the crew.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And then, or you know what you want for your first dress, but you're shopping for a second dress. Then you bring the crew.
I like that.
People are way less like opinionated about the second dress because it's like the first one's done. So they just want something fun.
yes.
You know what I mean? Like people are a little bit more laid back. After that, I think the best formula for bringing your mother-in-law into the mix, because I do think you should involve her,
Yeah.
is for when the dress comes in,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
bring her because you'll get to try the dress on when the dress comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You already have the dress.
yeah.
If you have a grandma that's going to have a lot of opinions, but she wants that special moment with you of trying on a wedding dress, bring her when the dress comes in.
It's already ordered. Like there's nothing.
here.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like that's a very special moment for yourself. It's the first time you're putting on your wedding dress.
For sure.
It's no less special, but it is like, what is it about? It's not about her helping you pick your dress. It's about her having a moment with you, being the first to see you in your dress.
Of course.
And so have that moment.
Yes.
And then when you go for the fitting, only bring the advocate again.
yes.
My advocate was my mom, but like I really didn't know how much I needed it until I needed it because I'm so extremely opinionated.
Yeah.
I sketched out an entire redesign of my second dress and she was like, no, I can't do it. And I'm like, oh my God. And the lady that sold me my dress, she said, she'll tell you she can't do it, but she really can. So I knew it going into
Yeah.
it. And in the moment I was like, how do I tell her you're BSing me?
I need to call your bluff. I'm
Right.
so sorry.
And my mom is like, you can do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
you need
Yeah.
the advocate.
Mm-hmm. And I love also your advice about bringing specific people like mom to be your advocate for the first, and certain people who are important to see the dress for the fitting. Because I think when someone knows what they're going into, like they're not there to give their opinion. The dress is ordered. They're just there to see you. Like there's so much, even if grandma hates
Yeah.
it and it's like way too sexy for her taste, she's going to be like, you look beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great. Like that's literally what she's there
Right.
for. And she knows her role.
Right.
So it's very important. I like this advice.
There's also certain things that you do kind of want more of a crowd opinion for. Like if you go in a second time to try on the dress or show them because you already got it and you're like, we're here, I'm going to show you the dress and also we're going to look for a second dress, or this is when the dress came in and we're going to start our fittings. Like in that time, if you're picking a veil,
yes.
that's a great opportunity to crowdsource.
Yes.
Because the veil is like, it is preference and that's where you can use the adjectives. This is what I want. I want something short.
Yep.
Okay, so short is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what looks better with the dress.
For sure.
And you want people looking at you from all different angles saying, okay, you look happier in this, or like the short looks better, or this looks more romantic, and that's fun, and that's the styling.
Yes.
And I think that's fun for crowdsourcing. It's less anxiety inducing.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. But I do like the idea of having something cohesive or someone to really guide that ship, really be the captain there as the stylist. And you said that you do a lot of the surrounding events. And I love this idea, coming back to the romanticism of the friendships. Like, I'm seeing so much more now, which I'm so happy about. Bachelorette parties are just kind of becoming this extension of
a girls trip.
A girls trip. Yeah.
They're awesome.
Dressing up, like being a bridal party. So we are probably around the same age.
Yeah.
So how much experience do you have? I love asking this question. How much experience do you have being a bridesmaid? Like, how many times have you done it, would you say?
A few.
Okay.
Like 3 or 4.
Okay. So a good amount.
A good amount. I'm still getting better at it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still learning.
Yes.
I'm over involved.
Okay.
And so I'm lucky where, like, I've only really been in weddings for friends that I'm extremely close to.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, tell me to shut up when it's time to shut up. And I'm really insecure about it. I'll like randomly text someone on Tuesday and be like, am I being too much?
Oh,
like,
they probably love it though.
Well, but I mean, it's also your wedding, so you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I get too involved. So I'm still learning where to help and where to like pull back.
Yes.
But I personally love being a bridesmaid. I know some of it has to do with the fact that I just love weddings.
Of course.
But like, your friend chose you. Like, they love you that much.
It's really special.
And you're a party to their entire relationship.
Yes.
And they're putting you in this category for celebration with like their sister. And like, that is a huge deal.
It's a huge honor.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice. So as someone who has both had bridesmaids and someone who has been a bridesmaid, what would you say are some good characteristics of either bride and or bridesmaid so that everyone is having just an enjoyable experience? Everyone's on the same page. How do we get there?
I think as a bride, this is where delegation is key for your bridesmaids. Seriously, when you're a bride planning a wedding, your bridesmaids are lowest of the totem pole for you in terms of certain importance things. Like picking their dress color is not top priority for you.
No.
It just can't be. It doesn't mean that it's not important that they're your bridesmaids. You have so many other decisions on a legitimate deadline.
Of course.
So it's not necessarily like the first thing that you're doing, or maybe even like filtering through their dress options if you're doing different colors and different whatever. Like,
yes,
there are certain things where like, know your strength, lean into it. Know your weakness, lean into it. If you're someone that's likes to plan, but you have a lot going on at work, or maybe you're just someone who's not a good planner or whatever it is, say, I need help planning the bachelorette party.
Yeah.
Because your friends want to be on this girls' trip with you.
Of course.
So have someone help you plan it well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is a big trip. You need a well-planned trip.
Absolutely.
I also think as a bridesmaid, I have learned this recently. I never experienced this personally. I think I have a very, as someone recently told us, we have a very like type A group of friends.
Okay.
Like we're like bug-eyed, like when something goes wrong. And like everybody gets really confrontational very quickly, like with whatever the problem is. Like, we're not like, if there's a thread hanging out, like, you're not walking out the door.
Sure.
We've never had this particular problem. Like I said, people have to like tell us to just like honestly sit down. And so I have seen this. So with like a lot of people, bridesmaids that really just don't ask, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
I'm sorry if that's like the most cliche advice, but if you're saying, what can I do to help? Just keep doing that.
Yes.
And if you're not, start doing it.
Yes.
And also be involved. It's their weekend. Like, be involved. If there are activities that you need to be at them and show up for them. Yeah. We're all tired.
It makes me so sad. Someone wrote in recently that none of the bridesmaids would help plan the bachelorette, and she was so upset because she was like a bridesmaid 7 times over, and she was always doing everything for everyone, and like no one was stepping up to the plate for her and just complaining. And I think we gave her the advice to like bait and switch them, and like she didn't have a maid of honor, so we were like, well, tell them all that they're the maid of honor, and then give them the responsibility.
I think that's smart.
And then be like, gotcha. But no, you're so right. Like, I think of her in that situation because you are, as you said, you're bestowing this honor to your friends. Like, it really is a
Be
huge
excited.
deal. Like, be excited. And if you can't be, if you're not in the space, maybe say, I love you so much. I can't give you what I know you need and deserve for this, but I want to be as involved as you'll let me be. But as far as being a bridesmaid, I don't know if I can like hold up. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to attend the bachelorette or plan things.
Right.
Just be honest.
I think that brides, and I'm lucky that my friends are like this, but like, be flexible, you know what I mean? Because people have parameters. They have different amounts of time off and everybody has different jobs. So like, be flexible in terms of what your friends can and can't make it to. I really don't. I'm such a bride person.
Yeah.
Like, I'm such someone that's like advocating for the bride, because I hate seeing videos where girls are like, I don't like want to spend like this amount of money on my friend. And I'm like, not wanting to is different than not being able to.
Correct.
And if you can't, you shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
And hopefully your friend is understanding. And then that's where I go to the bride and I say, stop with all the like, and they have to do this and this and this. Because nobody has to do anything for you.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a very entitled way of looking at it.
For sure.
But then for a bridesmaid, it's also kind of like, why are you being so negative about what you have to do to celebrate your friend?
Yes.
And the way that I detach from that is like, those are always the people that want all that back one day. It's like,
absolutely.
it's the people that don't want to do anything for anyone else, that want everyone to do everything for them.
Of course.
And I'm like, whatever. One day it'll be your turn and you're going to be like, why is everyone so negative? And it's like, because you were probably negative for all of their stuff.
Exactly.
You know, like, I don't know.
No
But
one
like,
wants to see themselves.
right. No one wants to see themselves. But I do think it's just like, have grace with your friends. If you're a bridesmaid and the bride is your friend, have grace with her. She's under a lot of pressure.
Yes.
If you're a bride and you have bridesmaids, have grace with your bridesmaids.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a bridesmaid, don't be scared to say, what can I do? I actually know a few people where it's like, they feel like they don't want to be perceived as stepping on someone's toes.
Sure.
And
like,
so,
bridesmaid over maid of honor. Like, they don't want to get in the way.
Right. So it's not that they don't want to help.
Of course.
But you should know your friends. Like, they're your bridesmaids. If you know your friend is like that, then like, say, hey, would you mind helping me with this?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, they're not out to get you. They're not asking you because they don't want to help
not.
you.
Jeez Louise, if they are, then you got to get them out, get some new bridesmaids, girl.
Like, ideally, everybody has like good energy for you.
Of course. And I think 99% of the time that is the way that it is. But you get some bad eggs here and there. And you got to, you hear like these horror stories of people having to remove someone from their bridal party. Yeah. It's sad.
I know. It's reality though.
Yeah.
And I think as we get older too, I've definitely seen that become like more of a thing.
For sure. So just on the topic of bridesmaids, I want to talk about bubble dress gate really quickly. So this is so funny to me. So I have followed you, Caroline, for a while, and I remember seeing you in like this beautiful blue dress, and I was like, oh, like looks so pretty, whatever. Didn't think about it again. So then I'm doing research for our episode and I'm like, oh, like, let me just like scroll TikTok and I see, I don't know how many thousands, millions of views on this video.
I did check recently. It was like 8-point-something million.
Insane. Okay. So 8 million views on this video. So I'm like, holy shit. Like people must have really liked this as much as I did.
No.
People were
they didn't like it at all.
First of all, what is wrong with people?
I
know. Blows my mind. I want you to go into this story because I think not only did you look amazing, but what you did was so incredible.
Thank you.
So you had a bridesmaid's dress. You finished the story. I'm not going to tell your story.
I had a bridesmaid's dress. A lot of the story is just kind of funny. Like I was, my friend got married in Charleston and her sister was her maid of honor and she had some of her friends as maid of honors as well. And I was one of them.
Yeah.
And so she knew I was making my dress. I made my dress.
She literally made her dress. Like not took it to someone, designed it. Like, no.
Right.
Friggin' sewed this
I designed it and I made it. And now this is like a thing. This is not the first dress I've made. It's definitely not the first thing I've designed. I've designed, multiple collections with Amazon. Like whatever. So I made it. I posted about it. I was very excited to post about it, honestly.
Yes.
Listen, like when you want to design stuff, I think you know that everything is not going to be everybody's taste.
Of course.
And that's just par for the course.
Mm-hmm.
For the same reason that like there's a dress that I designed in my collection for Amazon the first time I redesigned it the second time.
Mm-hmm.
And then like a bridal designer made like a version of it. It's a bridal designer I like respect.
Yeah.
But like they fully just like took the design.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, so there's a cyclical process to design where it's like the ideas that designers are having aren't necessarily popular at the time.
Right.
That's why it's a new idea.
Right.
So I don't necessarily expect people to like love my design. It's also art is in the eye of the beholder.
Of course.
It might not be. Like it just might not be your style, and that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
So I wore the dress. I was proud of it. I made some content around it. And it just got on the wrong side of TikTok. And there were just a slew of comments that started coming in. And it just was like, if I were the maid of honor, I would have kicked her out of the wedding. And I'm like, well, I was her. So what are you going to do? You know, like, yeah.
Well, you know what's so interesting, Caroline, is TikTok versus Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram seemed to love it.
So we did talk about this on our podcast on Honey We're Home.
Yes.
And I was very transparent about it. I had a reaction to it that was very like satirical.
Yeah.
And I didn't lie about this. I said, my reaction to it was not funny.
Yeah.
I cried.
Yeah.
I just was overwhelmed.
It's over having 8 million people
say
view
mean
it.
things about you.
And first of all, I couldn't disagree more with them. I
Thanks.
think it's iconic, and the
Thanks.
fact that you made it is even to the nth degree. But even if you didn't like it,
Right.
why not just move on with your
Right.
frigging life? I
Right.
cannot understand it.
It's because I think it's harder to not say anything at all. Like, I think that sometimes people feel like it's easier to just say what they have to say, and it takes more restraint to just not say anything at all.
Oof.
And I've gotten hate before, and I've gotten hate about wedding stuff and relationship stuff.
Sure.
It's just like when you see something come in such a mass amount, it is overwhelming. And I don't think that anybody is ever prepared for that. And it's the derogatory comments about how you're like selfish or a bad friend. The stuff about my dress being ugly, that part was not the part that got me.
Right.
Because I know that there are people that aren't going to like it.
Sure.
And I think it's so funny because then like Stod came out with a dress like 3 weeks later that had a very similar design and
I
cut.
was going to say, yes, I have seen dresses since.
I made a tent dress for a friend's rehearsal dinner last year. Nobody liked it. And now everyone is only wearing tent dresses. So there are just certain things where I'm like, yes, it can hurt the way that people speak to you. But like that, there are some things where I can go reassure myself.
Yeah.
If people are in your comments telling you how you're a terrible friend, how you're selfish, how you made the wedding all about yourself, things that you never had the intention to do, I think something does start going off in your head where you feel like you get a little sad, you get a little nervous. Like that's not the
absurdity.
That's not how I want to present myself to the world.
And people who have never met you, know nothing about you,
Right.
know nothing about your relationships. I just think anyone who's doing that, I have no qualms about saying, like, if you were one of those people,
Yeah.
we could not be friends. I'm so sorry.
No,
Like,
we can't. Yeah.
It's just, it's too dark. It's so crazy
Right.
to attack someone's character on a dress that is not your preference.
Right. The attacking the character was what was terrible. And so I was only satirical about it because my little Gen Z sisters were like, and you know what happens? You know what happens when you like try to prove yourself or fight back? You
Yeah.
just make it worse.
Yes.
How unfortunate is that's what it is?
It's sick.
Yeah. So I did pick up my big girl pants and make a joke about it.
And I
you know
loved
what I mean?
it. You were so cute in
Yeah.
your response. And it's like, it's a big F you
it
to
was
all
a
those
big F you.
weirdos.
It's like I can laugh at myself just as much as the next person. Like I'm not gonna go like run and cry in my room. Am I sensitive? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
But I've also been told before, maybe you shouldn't do this job because you are an emotional person. And I just felt like I am an emotional person. And what an insulting thing to say because everybody has parts of their job that they feel like shouldn't come with the territory.
Yeah.
And you don't tell them to eat it.
Right.
You let them say this part of my job sucks.
Yeah.
And you would probably agree with them. And you're like, it's kind of shitty that even has to happen. But in this job, when you're sensitive, you're like, maybe you're not cut out for it. And so I refuse to believe that that's true.
I 100% agree with you. And I think if anyone is either successful at something or even not successful yet and they're going for
Right.
it, for anyone to claim that they're not cut out for it for a certain reason, okay, projection much. Like,
Right.
you don't know what I'm cut out for. Oh God, I need to start harnessing. We
Yeah.
had a coach in and she was like, you need to, just be calm and don't fight fire with fire, but like I'm about to throw fire now.
I always want to throw fire.
Yeah.
I get really upset when people talk about like my siblings or
Of course.
John or like degrading if I love my friends or not.
Sick.
Like the comments about how I must like hate my friend. I don't know why. Those are just the ones that really eat at me. But I did have to figure out how to say like I'm allowed to be emotional. I would actually prefer to continue to work on my EQ like in my own independent life and not become a person that shoves it down because I feel like, oh, I put my life on the internet. Like what I put on the internet is a reflection of me, yes.
Right.
But like I also have a real life with real people and I would prefer to be emotionally intelligent in that life.
Of course.
And so I'm going to continue to do that and like allow myself to feel my emotions. But I had to learn how to like wipe my tears and then like go back and be like, all right, how do you handle the situation in like a strategical standpoint?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like whatever, like you're allowed to cry. It doesn't bode well on the internet and that's unfortunate.
I happen to think that whoever has that opinion of like, oh, you're too emotional for this, I think that's exactly the reason why people resonate with you and why you continue to grow new different audiences in every arena. Like people loved you for your wedding, but they stay for your lifestyle. Like not just, I say your marriage because that's where you are in your life.
Yeah.
Like, you're a wife, but you're so many other things. You're not just a wife. But yeah, I think keep doing you because clearly it's working. And anyone who doesn't agree, I know you don't need this pep talk from me.
No, I appreciate it because I seriously, I'm like I had to look at John and I was like, I don't need you to like disprove that the dress is cute or whatever it is. Like people's opinions are their opinions. If I put this out if I had a line and I made this dress and no one bought it and people hated it, like that would still happen. You know what I mean? I would have to eat that as a designer, as an owner of a company. It's just maybe that there's like now a new platform for people to go at you in different ways. If you're like, it's shitty, we're going to acknowledge that it's shitty.
Yeah.
We're going to like feel that for a second.
Totally.
And then whatever.
I think about that with people going viral or wanting to go viral with their weddings too. And especially like even you who's built up a thick skin, it's still jarring to receive that kind of information. Yeah. So if you planned your wedding for a year and a half and like you put out this beautiful content and then people are influxing with it, just if you are trying to or wanting to go viral, go for it and do it. Yeah. But if people are attacking you, like tell them to go scratch.
Truly.
Seriously.
Yeah. And don't let it discourage you.
No.
You know what I mean? Like I would say a better solution is make sure that you have good friends and good family members and like that are going to lift you back up should that unfortunately ever happen. And I really hope it doesn't happen to anybody. You know what I mean? But like, it's okay if it happens to you, like it's okay to be upset about it and you're allowed to be. And I just like hope that you have people around you that lift you back up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I went to my friend and I was like, before I did anything, before I made any type of video, I was like, the last thing that I would ever want to do is what if she did actually feel those things? And everyone's like, no, she doesn't feel those things about you as a friend. And I'm like, right, but like, say that she did. And then I just took this video of all these degrading comments like about me as a friend or a person. And then I just turned it into something satirical and funny off bat. I feel like that would be extremely insulting to her that like I was making light of a situation. Right. Especially if it was serious to her. Right. So like the first thing I did was make sure that I could talk to her. Yes. And be like, listen, if any of this is true, I'm so sorry. But she's such a great friend. You know, she's like, I never thought about that. She was like, Caroline, I forgot you made your dress. She was like, I didn't think about
other stuff going on.
Yeah. She's like, I didn't think about your dress one time. And I was like, that's all I wanted to hear.
That's it.
Like, I am so irrelevant to you. I should be irrelevant to you.
Yes.
Like that
in
comment,
the best way. Like,
yes,
this
that's
was
the
my
comment that I was
wedding
like, great. I didn't make it about myself or, whatever it is. And so I just am lucky that I have such great friendships. Yes. Where like they're like, are you okay? Because that's really crappy. Also like, hey, like you're still good at what you do. Yeah. You're like, don't let them get you down. But if you like want to cry about it with somebody, like cry about it with me. And then let's figure out how to like make it better.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I thank you for talking about that because I feel like it's such a weird thing, but I loved the way that you handled it and I
Thank
loved the
you.
way you looked and I
Thank
just think you're
you.
like a queen on all levels.
Thank you.
So,
That's so nice.
so another thing that I want to
Yeah.
touch on with you, you have a very popular podcast.
Oh,
People love Honey, We're Home.
Yeah, we love it too.
I love it too. You guys are so funny. You have such good banter and you
Aw.
just like, I don't know, it feels like you're just sitting with girlfriends
Thank
and you're like
you.
in the room with you, which I really, really love. So one of the topics
Yeah.
that you kind of crux it on is this kind of life after the wedding. Because you and your co-host Nicole both
Yes.
are kind of like known for weddings, or I should say were known for weddings because I
Right.
feel like you've expanded so much since then.
Right.
But a lot of the people who found you around the time I did know you initially for weddings.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course. Yeah.
But there's this entire life after wedding
Yeah.
planning. And I think it's really important to tell people about this because
Yeah.
people go through the wedding blues after their wedding.
They really
They're like, what am I gonna do now? It's like having a second job.
Yeah.
So they're like, what am I gonna do with all this time? And a lot of people, despite what
Yeah.
everyone thinks, like actually love the wedding planning part of it.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm sure like a lot of people like honestly listening,
yes.
you're listening because you like it.
Yeah. Of course. Of
Right.
course. You're not like, oh, I gotta listen to this
Right.
wedding podcast. Like,
Yeah,
no, you would just avoid it.
Yeah, like there's a barrier to entry that like you like it, at least a little bit.
Yes. But I love your angle on it. You guys, I have to tell the girls, like, married life, it ain't so bad. It's pretty damn
No,
good.
I love being married. Yeah.
It's the best, right?
You know, being married is significantly better than any other phase. Like I've said this to my friends. I say all the time, especially when they're like getting engaged. I'm like, listen, if you're meant to be with somebody,
Yes.
then the marriage should be the best part of the relationship.
Yes.
Because all of the rest of it is like leading up to that sort of like forever.
Mm-hmm.
You spend the majority of your life with that person married to them. So you
Totally.
would hope that it's the best part.
Yes. And I hate this idea of your wedding should be the best day of your life. Like,
Oh, yeah.
if you're lucky, it's the worst day of your life moving forward and
Right.
all of your married days ahead of you. Like,
Yeah.
that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a party. It's okay. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it's great to enjoy yourself and have a great time. But like, I think we put all this pressure on like, has to be the best day ever. And
Right.
it's all this build up and lead up. And then people come down from this wedding high.
Yeah.
But you always do a really great job of romanticizing. I think I
Oh,
love this
thank you.
word.
Yeah.
Yes. So romanticizing your marriage. Hello. Like
Right.
that should be an important thing. So
yeah.
so after the wedding blues, some of the things that I love that you do. Sorry, I'm like
No,
going a
tell
little bit all
me.
over. But I love that you do an anniversary shoot with your
Oh,
husband.
yeah.
Such a good idea.
Yeah, I like that.
always looking for ideas or reasons rather to get another cute white outfit. Like,
Mhm.
and why not? Why
Why
not do it?
Yeah.
And it keeps the spark alive. Like, what other things do you guys do that really romanticize the marriage?
I'm a big romanticizer.
I love it.
But I'm like a big dreamer
Yeah.
as well. I think it does start with how you are approaching the wedding planning process.
Mhm.
Like you should be super excited for the wedding because you're super excited to be married.
Right.
So like that really needs to be the fuel to your fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're getting amped up for the wedding because it's the time that you get to get married.
For sure.
You know? And so that's why you're so excited to plan it. Like everything I was planning really wouldn't have meant anything if it wasn't to John.
Yeah.
To me. Like to me, like personally. You know what I mean?
Sweet.
Like,
yeah.
like that's why it was so exciting is because of like who I was like getting to marry.
of course.
That's what made it mean everything. And so I think if you approach it with intentionality, you go into the marriage, like you've been planning a wedding for 2 years, you've been waiting for 2 years for this moment.
Yes.
to be married.
Just reframe it.
Right. You just reframe it. So you're already going into it like, oh my gosh, like the wait is over.
Yes.
Like we're here.
Uh-huh.
It's so exciting. You have all of these first. It's your first vacation as a married couple. You have all of these things. And truly, like I have spoken to friends of mine who have lived together before marriage, and then like John and I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
We didn't.
I didn't realize that.
No, we didn't live together before marriage. And when we like got married, actually, there was like a thing inside of us. It just sort of like clicked, like in the literal moment of like getting married, like everything just
Whoa.
sort of like shifted. like a little like piece of my heart. And I imagine, I don't have kids, but I imagine that that's probably what it feels like times a million when you like have a baby.
Yeah. Oh.
Like something in your heart just shifts.
Yes.
And it does feel different, like just emotionally.
It does.
And
you
so
feel like a family.
Yes, you feel like a family. And so for my friends that have lived together, they've still had the same feeling because it's not necessarily about your day-to-day changing.
Yes.
It's like an emotional shift. So like lean into it. So things could technically feel different going forward if you let them. Like your date nights could feel a little more romantic or intimate, you know? Like we're a little more exciting. Like you're using the word wife for the first time or husband for the first time. And like you're just doing things. It's your first doing them.
Yeah.
And so have something to really look forward to. And people will say that like, oh, we're planning the honeymoon and that's something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that's just like an extension of the wedding.
Yeah, it is.
And sometimes people put off the honeymoon so that they like can continue to have something to look forward to.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you definitely can. What I would say is, what was your favorite part about wedding planning in your relationship and like just logistically speaking?
Yes.
Figure out a way to elongate that. I loved wedding planning so much that I made it my job.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to go back to my other job, so I made it my job. But if you're someone that has been like, this is a creative outlet for me that I really didn't know how much I needed.
Yeah.
Before the wedding happens, start thinking about a way that you can like do creative stuff after.
Yeah.
You don't have to stop cold turkey.
For sure.
Pick up a new hobby.
Absolutely.
What was your favorite creative thing that you did during your wedding? And figure out a way that you can keep doing it. If you're going to say, I'm going to start taking art classes or doing this, or I'm going to open a little Etsy shop because I liked like making our invitations or whatever it is, like keep doing it. And then for your relationship, like I liked our engaged, like we did these engaged dates where we could only like, we couldn't talk about the wedding at all. And what we could talk about what we were excited for getting married.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to get like creative. I'm excited to do this when we get married. I'm excited to do this. Like, and now I talked about this last week. I'm like, I call them like sexy dates where I'm like, we're not allowed to talk about life logistics. Like you just have to act like it's like your first date.
Oh my God, that's so smart.
Your lives are intertwined and you're probably fantastic partners.
Yes.
But you're also like fantastic, like as like intimate, like romantic, you know, like you probably still have good energy and chemistry and banter if you access it.
Continue to date.
Yeah.
Like date each other forever, ideally.
Ideally, but you're doing it with some rules and like that's fine.
Yes.
Like you are not allowed to talk about when your lease is up.
Obsessed.
Or when you want to start trying for kids. Or have you bought tickets for this flight yet? Or does this date work? Or are we going to be able to do this? Or this person wants to come in town. Or you're not allowed to talk about any of that.
Oh my
because if you were dating, those things wouldn't apply to you. Like your lives would not be such one piece where like it could so easily go into a business meeting. Your boyfriend wouldn't know crap about that. Or, you know?
This is stellar advice. I feel like so many girls are having a hallelujah moment right now because it's a worry that people have. It's like, are things going to get stale? Am I going to be bored? But
people get,
like, why are you marrying this person? Because you guys are obsessed with each other and in love and like that can continue.
We got some I put a thing out and I was like, guys, this is something I'm doing. If you're doing it and it's worked for you, like let me know. Or like, what are your thoughts behind it? And this girl said, she was like, if you were attracted to your partner 10 years ago, and you think that they're like a way better version of themselves now, think about how much more attracted you would be to them now if you met them for the first time.
Oh my gosh.
Like your first date should be 100 times better now.
Yes.
And I was thinking about that. I was like, John has gotten so much cuter over time. Like, and I hope I have too. I'm like,
oh my God, you're both gorgeous.
I'm like so much more interesting.
Yes.
And so I don't know, like there really should be a lot to talk about. And also I have always said this, like keep getting to know your partner. I guess you could say it's an extenuation of dating, but if you meet your partner young and you're like lucky enough to, like you should allow them the space to like grow and turn into whatever adult they're going to be.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not locked into this like one version of them.
Sure.
Like
people grow and change and evolve and hopefully you can do that alongside each other.
Right. Like their favorite food, honestly, probably isn't the same as when you met them.
Totally. Mine isn't the same as this morning.
Right. Like their favorite color is different. Like they want a different kind of haircut now.
Yeah.
Like they saw someone wearing these like pants and like now they like kind of want to switch up their style.
For sure.
Like just like get in their head.
Oh my gosh. I love this concept. I feel like you could be a life coach as well. Like you have very good ideas about a lot of different things. We're learning a lot here.
I think my brain just moves a little quick.
It's perfect for us. So you have given so much insight to us today on weddings, and I am going to trouble you for some more.
Please.
So we do premarital counseling every episode.
I love it.
One of our listeners or viewers or followers, they'll write in. They can DM, they can email. So if you ever have questions or queries, you can always send them to us. We always keep everything anonymous. But we try to give them a little advice here.
Love it.
I would love your insight because I have a funny feeling your advice is going to be a lot better than mine.
I also, if you listen to Honey or Home, I'm like, I don't shut up about premarital counseling. Like I did it for a year. I was like, I'll take the whole year, please.
It's so important.
Yeah.
We're advocates here.
Yeah.
We love a little premarital counseling. Okay, so we're going to call her Anna Maria.
Okay, perfect.
I decided to get a little spicy today. Okay, she says, hello, Adriana. I am emailing for some premarital counseling. LOL. I am actually pre-engaged. We love the pre-engaged girls. Shout out to the fellow pre-engaged girls. We talk about that a lot here.
I love it. No, I just love it.
Okay, here's the short version. I want to choose my engagement ring. My fiance wants it to be a surprise. I am admittedly a little bit of a control freak, and the idea of wearing something that I hate every day for the rest of my life is giving me anxiety. I also don't want to be distracted in the moment when my boyfriend proposes with an ugly ring. He does not want to have any discussion about the ring, does not want to go ring shopping together, does not want to give me any details because it will, quote, spoil the surprise. I totally disagree. How can I get through to this man? Poof.
Boys always respond to logic. Always.
Okay, say
like,
more.
Proof. You have to give them proof.
Uh-huh.
For example, I designed my ring top to bottom.
And let's see a little.
This is my ring, and I designed it because I needed everything to match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I knew that I didn't want round because I knew that round made my fingers look fat.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
John wanted round because it's like a classic cut.
Sure.
But how are you going to argue with the facts?
Right.
Because if a pretty ring looks fugly on my hand,
yes.
like it's no longer pretty.
Yes.
So I was like, listen, I want you to be so invested in this process. And he was so invested.
Yeah.
But I also want you to be able to make an educated decision.
Of course.
I am the subject. You have to know what it looks like on me. Like, how are you going to argue with that?
You can't.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't want her input because he wants to feel like he did it himself.
Right.
If you laid out the stats for him and you were like, these are all of the things that it takes to build an engagement ring that you have to know about that I don't even touch.
Yeah.
I just need to be your like guinea pig. You just need to know if it looks good on me.
Absolutely.
And so like, let's just try on a shape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, I have to wear it forever and you want people to compliment it. And this is the other thing is like, if a ring doesn't look good, people aren't going to compliment it as much.
And it's a reflection of him. It's like, you did this, you know?
You want to do something that you're so proud of.
Yes.
If I know in my heart that there are some rings that aren't going to look good on me, that this is a group effort.
Yeah. And like, do you really want me wearing something I don't want to wear forever?
Right.
It's no, you don't. I think I might present it to him this way, Anna Maria.
Yeah.
Like, all right, you don't have to say anything. We don't have to have a discussion about it, but I'm going to let you know, this is what I like. This is my size. Like, take the information with you, Will. Don't cover your ears, or I'll just send it to you.
Yeah.
But like, I want to love this, and I want this to be like such a spectacular thing for us. But I think that is such good advice, like giving them logical, like, this ring will not look good on me, and I know that. I've been wearing jewelry
and let me show my work.
Let me show my work.
I think you could also say, like, I'm not telling you what to buy, but I'm kind of saying maybe don't buy, what not to buy.
Yes.
Like, there are so many cuts. You could say, listen, my only request is just please don't get this cut.
Yes.
Like, go by yourself and honestly just be like, if you, because for me, I was just worried that certain cuts just didn't look good on me.
For sure.
And so if that's the case for you, then go do that and either prove yourself wrong or prove yourself right. Either way, come back to the table and be like, listen, I know you want to do this yourself. I love that. Like, just, this is the only thing that I know doesn't look good on me.
Totally. And like, is this about him or is it about the two of you? Like,
Right.
This is something that you're going to wear. It's a promise of marriage. Like, I'm sure his intentions are so
Right.
pure and sweet, and he just wants to surprise you, but you might have to like fight a little dirty and be
Yeah,
like,
because I don't know if guys look at it the same way as girls, which is like it's situational.
yeah,
Like there are some guys that have great jewelry taste.
sure.
So yeah, like literally let them go. Let them be
course.
free. Let them do it on their own. They might not want to ask you.
If he's capable,
Absolutely. There are some guys that really this certainly is not their skill set.
yeah. And she used the word hate in here. I
Yeah.
want to point that out. She said, I don't want the idea of wearing something I hate every day. So I don't think she has a lot of confidence in this
And
man's taste.
I agree. And so if that's the case, it's like just because he has a friend that picked out a ring and it was fully a surprise and went well,
Yeah.
doesn't mean that he should or could do that.
Mm-mm.
Also, like some women are significantly less picky about jewelry.
Yes.
And some women are just blessed in the hands.
For sure. I know. Some people have these like cute, petite little hands.
Long, skinny fingers, and they just look good in everything.
Yeah.
Some women could just pull off any ring.
It's so rude. I
It's
have
about
like
your nail
alien
bed.
hands,
Yeah, like-
so I'm like,
It's about
don't
everything.
want-
I have like sausage fingers, and my mom would be like, like we have the same sausage fingers. Like I know, like you don't have to tell me I don't. You know, like what do girls' nails looks like? Like it's okay.
Yes.
You have different hands than the girl next to you. It's about that. It's about his taste in jewelry. It's about a lot of different things.
Yes.
It's situational.
It is situational.
There's no one right way for this to work. It just has to work for both of you.
1000%.
So like also maybe say like, come on, like you give me a little respect here.
Come on, babe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit the boy with some logic, and whether he wants to hear it or not, give it to him.
Yeah.
Give it to him. No discussion. It's more of a lecture, if you will. If
It is.
If you don't want to have a discussion, we can have a lecture.
I
Sit
like
down.
a lecture. Yeah.
I like a lecture.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's needed.
Yeah.
You know?
Let's have a presentation. Yeah.
All right,
You gotta-
Caroline.
You gotta quiz him on the 4 C's.
Oh, that's right. So we
Yeah.
did, we had a game this morning, Beat David, and I wanted to see how much David, my beautiful angel producer, knew about weddings. And I was certain that he would get 0 right.
You
and
got
he
it all?
All of them. He knew the 4 C's. This man is 22. He's a young king. He knows it all. He's the wedding master.
What? That's impressive.
It was very impressive.
That's
yes.
impressive.
I'm excited for people to see his knowledge. Now, for my favorite part of the show, the after party. This is where I ask my guests rapid fire questions about their upcoming weddings, starting with honeymoon hotspots, brought to you by Honey Fund, the #1 honeymoon and cash registry. Listeners of the Pre Nup get $25 added to their account when they register at honeyfund.com/prenup. Okay, on to the after party.
Okay.
What is your top honeymoon recommendation?
My top honeymoon recommendation is somewhere where you can relax and explore.
Uh-huh.
And I would say it just depends on how many days after the wedding. If
For
you're
sure.
going the next day, go somewhere that you can sleep the whole time and you don't feel like you missed the city
Yes,
or the town or the
Uh-huh.
area that you're going.
for sure.
And if you're going a week later, like go to I think honestly, Italy would be so fantastic.
Fabulous.
That's
Where
in my
Italy? Where would you send someone?
See, in an ideal world, you would do like where people do like the 3-week.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like you're going to Tuscany
Uh-huh.
for like 4 or 5 days.
Sexy.
Then you like go up and down the coast,
Uh-huh.
and that's like a whole week and a half. And then you do like Rome.
Yeah.
And Florence.
And you get a little
Yeah.
bit, like you said, of
Maybe
everything.
you do Venice. Yeah, you do a little bit of
Mhm,
everything.
mhm. Oh, I love.
Because you're just eating and drinking and sleeping the whole time.
And that's all we can ask for in this life.
Seriously. Yeah.
Okay, question number 2, speaking of eating,
Mm-hmm.
what is your ideal wedding cake flavor?
Lemon.
But
But that was mine.
any like
bias.
icing with it, or you like a straight lemon? Oh, I love lemon too.
It's like a lemon curd icing.
Oh my God. You're just
Yeah.
like such a Southern belle.
Yeah,
I love this.
I'm like,
the lemon curd cake. And
Yeah.
I see it now. It all comes together.
Yeah.
Okay. What's one song that's going to get you on the dance floor at a wedding?
Oh, well, any Taylor Swift song.
Oh my gosh. I know. I
You know
had
what
a
I
whole
mean?
segment of T
Like-
Swift I wanted to ask you about, but
Like the Taylor Travis wedding situation,
Of
like the whole
course,
thing.
of
I think she's
course.
wearing Vivienne Westwood. I think she's already designing her dress, which is how she got introduced to Vivienne Westwood as a designer, which is how we got the TGPD set.
oh my
Costumes.
God, you are so deep and I'm obsessed.
I just
love
she's
this.
not like she does Nicole and Felicia. That's like a wedding designer.
Yes.
but they're really like pageanty.
Uh-huh.
Like she's a pageanty girl.
Sure.
How are you getting into the world of couture weddings
Uh-huh.
without going to look at a wedding dress?
Oh my God, Caroline, you're
Like she
on
took a
something.
meeting with the Vivienne Westwood team, and then she was like, "Do you know what this would actually work for? Torture poets." So I think that that's what we can expect from the dress. Just to
Obsessed.
add that in.
All roads lead to Taylor.
All roads lead to Taylor.
I don't even remember what I asked you. Oh, anything Taylor?
But
Yes.
Taylor Swift, like the Love Story remix, I think everybody should have that on their list.
Cute. Yeah.
It's fun.
That is fun.
Yeah.
And like everyone knows that song.
Yeah, it's like
Even
a DJ
David knows that song.
it's a DJ remix. It's great.
Anytime I bring up an old song, David's like, I don't know what that is.
No,
I have
that one I know.
that one.
That
one's
one you
so
know.
good.
That
Yeah.
one you know. Okay. If you could invite any living dream
Yeah.
guest to your wedding, who would it be?
Adele. Because I would hope that
Adele.
she would sing me a song.
That would be fabulous. What song would you
Yeah.
have her sing?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
It's a
Honestly, whatever she's feeling in the moment.
sure.
uh, what's like an epic Adele love song?
A love song.
Or just anything.
I love her version of "Feel My Love."
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah, I would do. I mean, because either she's singing something that's like a banger and it's getting everyone on the dance floor,
Yeah.
or like a love song, and that's
Uh-huh.
like,
Oh my
Yeah.
God, she is. Ooh,
right.
Hits
She's
all
like,
the right spots.
That's my pick. Yeah.
I love that answer. Okay, and then last question I have for
Yes.
you today is: what is one piece of practical advice that you would tell anyone planning a wedding?
I would say my practical advice, and I say this often, is just because you have the license to do whatever you want to do, it doesn't excuse you from like the accountability of doing it kindly.
Oh, tell them yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, and I don't mean that to be like everyone's a bridezilla.
No.
It's just that it is true that when you're planning your wedding, like you should feel free to do whatever you want.
Yes.
But it doesn't excuse you from the accountability of like doing it nicely.
Of course.
Like you do whatever you want, just make sure you're doing it kindly. Like communicate whatever you want. I wanted to walk down the aisle by myself. I did it. It didn't mean that I had to be a jerk to like my dad's, about doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I
that's
mean?
it.
Like I still owed them in my mind like the courtesy of being polite and loving and kind.
Mhm.
So I think that whatever, as brides, we get blinded in our scenario where we're
Yeah.
like, no, it's my wedding. I get to do this. But like, you're still accountable for doing it nicely. And I think it keeps you a little conscious of your guests and your friends because the stress can like get to you a little
It's
bit.
a really important
Yeah.
reminder. If anyone needs it, I'm sure all of our listeners don't.
Right.
I'm sure they're
Everyone's
perfect and
perfect.
lovely. But no, we all get into
I
that
had to tell
frame
myself-
of mind. Yes.
But I only say it because I had to tell myself that a lot of times.
Everyone gets there at some point.
Yeah.
And that's all. You just have to check yourself.
Yeah.
That's it. And
It's, yeah.
we all have to. It's
Right.
No shame in it.
Right.
Caroline, you are an angel. There
Oh,
are
you're
so
an
many
angel.
things that I wanted to touch on that we didn't even get to. So hopefully we can have you back one day
Yes,
and
please.
chit chat
Yeah.
about all the wedding things. Where can everyone find you and all of your things?
So you can find me on Instagram at Caroline Crawford Patterson, and on TikTok it's at Caro Crawford Patterson. My name is too long for the handle.
It is. It's a long name.
It's
but
a long
it's a beautiful name.
Thank you. And then we have our podcast, Honey We're Home, and it's Honey We're Home Podcast. That is our Instagram handle. So follow along.
And it's so good. It's such a fun listen if you don't already listen. But thank you so much for
Thank
doing
you
this.
for
It was
having
so
me.
fun.
It was amazing.
Thank you.
I had so much fun. Thank
Yay.
you.
Woo! Thanks for tuning into the Pre Nup. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform or on the Love Stories TV YouTube channel. Follow at _pre_nup and at Love Stories TV on Instagram for more. Have feedback or suggestions for the next episode? Feel free to reach out to us at podcast@lovestoriestv.com.